Welcome to Diversity Extra with your host, Don McKneely.
And hello, everybody. I'm Don McKneely, and thank you for joining us on Diversity Extra, where the conversation today is about women's business development, business inclusion, and business success. Our host today is Debbie Hurst, and Debbie is the CEO and president of the Women's Business Council Southwest. Debbie, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Don.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure. As we get started, let me share a bit with our audience about Debbie and who she is and what she does. As mentioned, Debbie is the president and CEO of the Women's Business Council Southwest, and the council is focused on advancing and enhancing business opportunities between women-owned businesses, corporations, and the government. The WBCS, as the council is referred to, is in its 24th year providing national certification to women-owned businesses and administers the national certification on behalf of the Women's Business Enterprise National Council out of Washington, D.C. Under Debbie's leadership, the WBCS has grown to over 1,200 women business enterprises and 80 sustaining corporate members. So that's a bit about Debbie. Debbie, before we get started into our questions and answers here, can you tell us maybe just a bit about your professional development and journey before joining the Women's Business Council?
Sure, Don. Thanks again for having me. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. I feel like I've been with the council now for I'll celebrate 22 years later this year. And so I feel like I've kind of always been here. But as you asked this question, I did have a little bit of a history before I came to the Women's Business Council. It's always been in nonprofit management. My heart just is in nonprofit work. Before I came to the Women's Business Council, I did a lot of work in social service nonprofits. Lots of focuses dealing with women and women's issues. Also some work with teenagers, and immediately prior to coming to the Women's Business Council, I ran an organization called AIDS Arms. And back in the late 80s, early 90s, we were one of the first responses to the AIDS epidemic and helping people find their way to treatment. So just a varied nonprofit background.
Well, Debbie, as we talk about the nonprofit background, what was the motivation for you personally to get involved in nonprofit versus seeking a job or a role with corporate America?
Well, I've always defined as very simply what I'm interested in doing is helping people, connecting, helping make a difference in this world. And so I think that's why I was drawn to nonprofits. After about, 20 plus years in various roles in nonprofits, I learned about the Women's Business Council. And at that time, we were a fledgling organization. You mentioned in your intro that we are in our 24th year. So it was about a year and a half into the organization. And I was just so drawn to the mission of the organization and on a personal level to an opportunity for me to work remain in the nonprofit space, but begin to expand into for-profit America and understand about the world of corporations and economic development and impact in local, national, and global affairs. And so it was an opportunity to do that, and I just was excited about joining.
Absolutely, absolutely. And now, what year did you become CEO of the Women's Business Council?
1997.
1997.
Yeah.
Just a spell back, right?
Just a spell back.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's right. Well, tell us, Debbie. In terms of the mission of the Women's Business Development Council, can you talk to that a bit about exactly what the council does and how you do it and this kind of thing?
Sure. You mentioned that our mission is to facilitate procurement opportunities between women-owned businesses and particularly corporate America and the government. Said simply, our job is to help grow women-owned businesses and help them gain access to decision makers and pursue opportunities to grow their business and have an impact in the economy.
So tell me, Debbie, what are the benefits and the value that the council brings to women-owned businesses? Can you talk to that a bit?
Yes. Probably the first thing is we provide a national gold standard of Women Business Enterprise certification. We partner with the Women's Business Enterprise National Council, and they set and maintain a standard of certification that is accepted by corporations, thousands of corporations and government entities across the United States. Women business owners may not be aware that getting certified as a woman-owned business, and what that means is we take a look at the structure of your business to determine that you are at least 51% owned, operated, and controlled by women. Obtaining that certification is very, very helpful to women-owned businesses to access corporate opportunities. It lets corporations and government entities know you are truly owned and controlled by women. And as corporations, we'll probably get into this a little later, but as corporations look to diversify their supplier base, they look for that assurance that this truly is a women-owned business. So that's the first thing that we offer. Other benefits, though, we're a membership organization, and so our job then is to help develop those businesses, help them gain access to corporate decision makers. So we do a lot of education, we hold a lot of networking events, recognition events, just every opportunity to help those women-owned businesses gain access and elevate.
Exactly. Well, you remember you mentioned that the council is a membership organization. So our hope here on Diversity Xtra is that we will help you double your membership here in 2019, Debbie. So
I'm all for that.
That's going to be our goal. So, Debbie, in terms of the corporate community, how does women-owned business membership in the council help benefit the corporate community? Can you talk to that just a bit?
You bet. So we did talk about how we're beneficial to WBEs, but we also have, as you mentioned, about 80 corporate members and government entities. These are representatives of the major corporations in the DFW area and throughout our region, as well as our major players on the local and state government space. They participate with us and support us because they have initiatives to diversify their supplier base, to make sure that they're doing business with the community and with all aspects of small businesses. So they really are looking to reach out to women-owned businesses and grow them as potential suppliers. We provide that avenue. So we're very, very critical to the corporations in the development of their suppliers and helping them grow with the company and be able to successfully deliver.
Well, over the years, Debbie, I'm sure you've had a number of success stories, with your women-owned businesses and also corporations, corporate partners to women-owned businesses. Can you share any possible success stories with us that maybe just stick out with you?
Oh, gosh, there have been so many Thankfully, there have been so many over the years. We started back when I joined the council, we had maybe 20, 25 corporate members. And so we've certainly, a success is growing the representation of corporations for women-owned businesses to partner with. An example I'll give you from quite a few years back is the company Floor, who was brought to our organization by, at that time, TXU. TXU has evolved and grown and changed over the years and is now Xtra Energy. But they brought Floor as a prime supplier to them to the table, and they said, we care about women-owned businesses. We know that you care about women-owned businesses. We want you to grow your spend, and here's an organization that can help you do that. And so Fluor started with us for that reason, because a prime customer said, we think this is a good idea. Fluor today is a major player, not only here in the Metroplex with us, but on a national level with the Women's Business Enterprise National Council. They have a leadership role on our board of directors. They have a huge commitment to doing business with women-owned firms. And so on a corporate side, they kind of are an example. Another great corporate example is Toyota. Toyota has moved their headquarters to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And boy, they from before day one were reaching out to us to find out who were suppliers in the community that could help them, women-owned businesses. And they today have, they equipped their headquarters with furniture supplied by a woman-owned business, member of our council, and that is Business Interiors. Their fitness center in their headquarters is run by a woman-owned business. They serve also on our board of directors now, and they are looking. I can tell you, just in the last few months, they've brought on additional women-owned businesses directly from this council. So, it really works. It delivers. On the WBE side, there's so many examples, but one that comes quickly to mind is CFJ Manufacturing. They're a long-standing certified WBE out of Fort Worth. They are providing brand promotion and manufacturing for corporations and government entities across the globe. Sharon Evans, who is their CEO, has said that 80% of her corporate clients came to her through her association with the Women's Business Council Southwest. I can't tell a better success story than that. It works.
Absolutely. That's very impressive, 80%. That's a great number. And of course, the companies that you referenced certainly are doing some great work here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and CFJ, Fluor, and Xtra. Debbie, you mentioned change just a minute ago. How has the women's business development changed over the years? Can you share a thought or two about that, those changes since you've been at the leadership role?
Sure. We probably had less than 100 certified women-owned businesses when I came to the council 22 years ago, and we have over 1,200 just in our region. And so growth is certainly on the table in terms of the change in women business enterprise representation. They're growing at a faster and faster rate. Women-owned businesses today, they're in all industries. They're all sizes. They are increasingly employers. I think people think of women-owned businesses as very small, maybe one person, one or two mom and pop shops. And we have some very small, maybe one person consulting firms who are members. But I tell you, we have a tremendous representation of large, multi-million-dollar corporations who employ many workers in our community, and they contribute to the economic growth engine of this company. Women-owned businesses today are partnerships. They're banding together to provide growing and innovative solutions to corporations. I mentioned they're in virtually all industries. Probably the largest subset of members in our organization today are in construction, architecture, and engineering. And we know, as we look across the Metroplex, how much growth there is certainly in that area. IT,
absolutely,
greatly represented. So
absolutely.
Lots of growth and impact.
Absolutely. Debbie, as we look at women-owned businesses and opportunities, what are some of the maybe key challenges that women-owned businesses face in today's competitive environment? What might be some of the recommendations to face those challenges? It's a two-part question.
You bet, sure. So I've told a really great positive story about the growth in women-owned businesses, and that's true, but there certainly are still challenges. I'll give you a statistic that really highlights, for me, the greatest challenge, and that is that while women-owned businesses are growing at twice the rate of all small businesses in America, they still receive less than 5% of corporate and government contracting. Think about that number. We're a huge part of all privately held firms, almost 50% of all privately held firms, yet women-owned businesses still have challenges in access to decision makers. There are leaders in corporate America who are really addressing this and have strong supplier diversity programs, but we've got a long way to go. So I would say one of the serious challenges still today is for women-owned businesses gaining access to throughout the supply chain. So for example, I used Toyota earlier. Not every woman business owner is going to do business directly with Toyota. That's not her prime customer for some businesses. They're at different places in the supply chain to Toyota. So helping women-owned businesses get to and through those processes and decision makers throughout the supply chain is still a huge challenge, and one that we're here to help address. Access to capital continues to be an issue for small and particularly diverse and women-owned businesses. Finding the funds to help propel them forward and help them grow. So those, I'd say, are two challenges that continue to need to be addressed. Helping women get over that $1 million revenue mark.
Exactly. Well, in terms of the supply chain and supplier diversity, what might be a recommendation, Debbie, from your perspective, as to how women-owned businesses can stay relevant and viable in this constantly changing competitive environment? Any thoughts around that?
Yeah, one word: innovation. I know it's a buzzword right now. I know we're talking about innovation on all fronts, but it's because it's critical to our economy, to our growth, to our diversification. So for women-owned businesses, look at how you can continue to solve your clients' problems. New and innovative ways of helping that customer grow and compete. It's really all about how you can be a part of the team to grow that corporation or that government mission and focus. And the more that we can look at ourselves as small businesses, women-owned businesses, as a part of the solution, a creative and innovative part of the solution for the corporation. It's not about us, it's about the customer. That will help propel us forward.
Absolutely. So, Debbie, let me ask you, so someone that's interested in starting a woman-owned business, or a woman maybe leaves corporate America, or has just always thought about starting her own business, what might be a recommendation as to how she would go about that?
Well, there's lots of resources in the community today. That too is a change from 22 years ago. We do have resources in the community to help a business get started. And so I would encourage anybody who's interested in starting a business, certainly reach out to us, because we can help answer questions about how you find your niche, how you focus your corporate contacts or your customer targets. You can't be everything to everybody. So really understand what your mission is, what your service or product is, and where it fits in the economy and in the supply chain. That's one thing. And then take advantage of, develop a business plan. There are organizations, women business centers, and small business development centers that we partner with day in and day out that really help women get a good, strong foundation and then position them for success.
Debbie, I know one thing that's really major in the supply chain, supply diversity arena is certification. So, how important is certification in the supply chain community?
It's critically important. If a corporation cares about doing business with a diverse supplier base, they're going to want that business to be certified. And what that means simply is the assurance that this truly is a majority woman owned and led company. If I'm a corporation and I care about bringing women-owned businesses into the supply chain, then I look to the Women's Business Council Southwest and on a national level, WBANC, to provide that third-party review of the structure of the business that says, yes, this truly is a woman-owned business and she can deliver. She has a track record of doing business with corporations and the government, and she can deliver for you.
So, Debbie, in terms of the certification process, so I'm a woman-owned business. I'm not certified. What is the process for doing that? It's often said that, there are hoops that you have to jump through and what have you to become a certified business. So tell me, how difficult is that process?
So I'm so glad you asked me that question because I think there's a bit of an urban myth about that. There's a feeling out there or a sense that, this is a very onerous process. It's very time consuming. They ask for so much information. And so while women-owned businesses maybe they've heard about certification, they don't really understand what's involved, and they're fearful or they're afraid of stepping into that process because they think it will just be overwhelming. The fact is, it really is not. We do ask for a number of documents to prove the ownership and the structure of the company. So you do need to provide quite a few documents, but you have them. They're your business organization documents, and so it's just a matter of pulling those together. There have been women-owned businesses have said to me, I just don't have the time, and maybe I need to hire somebody to do this. That's certainly a business decision, but we tell people that's not necessary. We're here to help you. We'll walk you through the process. It's a simplified online application. You fill out the application online. Then you upload your documents. Everything's online. It instructs you where to send. There is a fee, a certification fee, and it instructs you where to send that fee, or you can pay it online. And then we review the business and the application. We do a site visit on 100% of our applicants get an on-site visit with the president and CEO of the company to ensure that all of our questions are answered, and we certainly have vetted this company and understand that they truly are woman-owned, operated, and controlled. That whole process takes, for us here in the Southwest, about 45 days from when we get a completed application. I've got 3 full-time certification staff who are ready to answer questions all through the process. So we make it as simple as possible, but we do have a very strong certification standard. And once you've been through this process, and the world knows that you truly are a woman-owned company.
Absolutely, and well worth the time and going through the process. Let me ask you, Debbie. Of course, women are now recognized as one of the fastest growing, entities in the business community and in the supply chain. So, what are some of the factors that are really driving this rapid growth of women-owned businesses?
Well, I think that the women-owned businesses are examples for themselves. So as women have gotten into running and owning their own companies, other women in corporate America, homeowners, homemakers, see that this is a possibility for me. So I think, there's that adage of you can't be what you can't see. I think we can start to see that there's huge growth in women-owned businesses. And so, look, I can do this. I also think that challenges in moving up the chain within corporations and gaining leadership roles within corporations, that's still a challenge for women-owned businesses. We still see that there are a small percentage of women in the C-suites within corporations, and that we care very much about that, and certainly on boards of directors. And so I think when women in corporate America run into those glass ceilings, they move to starting their own business because they know they can do that, and they can have flexibility and a balance in their life. And so I think those are things that drive women-owned business growth.
Looking down the road, Debbie, as we're talking about women business development and women on the move, what does the future for women-owned business look like, say, in 2020 or 2025? Any thoughts about what that projection might look like, or have you seen any numbers what that might look like?
Well, it's going to continue to grow. We are fortunately in a robust economy right now, and we know that here in the North Texas area, we've got a great economic climate, and it's a great business climate. So I fully expect to see women-owned businesses continue to grow and evolve, not just in numbers, but in revenue, in impact on the community in terms of employment. Women-owned businesses employ, I think the latest numbers were like 9 million workers in this country. It's a huge growth and a huge part of this nation's economy. So we'll just continue to see that. I think we'll see more partnerships within the small business community. So we'll see those under $1 million smaller firms kind of move to the next level. One of the things that I do want to stress is there's research done now as we have more and more women in leadership roles and running their own companies. There's research that shows women leaders run companies a little different than male leaders. And I think our world is, as we reach parity between male-owned companies and women-owned companies, we begin to see that we only make each other better. And I think we will see over the next decades that women in leadership roles in running their own companies will have a lot to teach all of small business about effective leadership.
Absolutely. Debbie, you mentioned women working together. Are we seeing more women beginning to team together and to join together? Because there's a big concern and a big reference to scale. In other words, a business being able to service a larger corporation, and women business owners working together can team up to maybe become a bigger scale. Is that happening more? Do we see more and more women teaming together now?
We do see that, and particularly within our organization, because we're a very supportive women helping women organization, and so you see that even in the traditional businesses that may be in competition, they start to look at their structures a little bit differently and say, okay, well, rather than looking at you as a competitor, perhaps if we team, we can increase our geography, broader footprint. Maybe we can provide ancillary services to my core service, and so in that way, I'm a greater competitor on a national scale. And so as women in this network get to know one another, they see opportunities and then they develop those. And I think that's why we're seeing more teaming opportunities. It's not as scary because we see successes there.
Absolutely. I know I heard a major corporate executive mention one time, he's in the technology space, and he mentioned that he does not have a problem at all going to market with his competitor as long as they both win business. So that's the name of the game. It's about teaming and collaboration, right?
That's exactly right.
So Debbie, as we begin to wrap up here, as we're running out of time, a woman-owned business or a woman that's interested in becoming a certified woman-owned business, how does she get in touch with you and the council to do that? that?
Well, we're headquartered right here in Las Colinas in the DFW area. We have a satellite office in Austin, but we're completely online, so she can access our website at www.wbcsouthwest.org and find all the information and a quick link to the online application. Our phone number is 817-299-0566. And we're available at any time to just answer questions about the process. We do webinars that are, you can find access to those webinars on our website that answer those questions about thinking about becoming certified. What do I need to know? So you can just access that webinar online. Call me anytime, Debbie Hurst at the Women's Business Council Southwest.
Debbie, thank you so much. We're out of time, and we certainly appreciate you joining us today on Diversity Extra, and we'll look forward to having you back again real soon.
Thank you so much, Don.
Absolutely, and we'd like to thank our audience for joining us on Diversity Extra, where we tell your story. Have a great day.